Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be all about exercise during pregnancy. So I am currently 38 weeks pregnant and I have been training throughout my pregnancy, and along this journey I have done a lot of research for myself on how and why to exercise during pregnancy, and also just learned a lot from my own personal experience. And so I wanted to share all of that with you today. So if you're currently pregnant and wanting to stay active, but you're maybe a little bit nervous or not sure where to start, then this video is for you. So let's get started. So first I wanted to go over a few of the benefits of exercise during pregnancy and why it's so important. I know a lot of people get nervous about exercising while they're pregnant because they're worried that it could be dangerous for you or the baby. But research has not shown a connection between exercise during pregnancy and things like miscarriage or preterm labor. And there's actually been a lot of evidence to show that exercise is one of the best things that you can do for a smooth pregnancy and delivery. So here are a few of the reasons why you might want to exercise while you're pregnant. So studies have shown that staying active can actually decrease your risk for certain complications like preeclampsia and gestational diabetes. It's also really important to maintain your strength and your fitness while you're pregnant, because eventually you're gonna have to go through labor and delivery, which can be a very long and physically taxing experience. So if you were gonna run a marathon, you would probably do some training for it, right? So birth is kind of the same way. If you know you have this really physically taxing experience that you're gonna have to go through at the end of pregnancy, you wanna make sure that you are as fit and healthy as you can be going into that. You also wanna make sure you're keeping your core and pelvic floor muscles strong during pregnancy. Obviously, there's a lot of changes that happen as your uterus gets bigger. Those muscles of your core and pelvic floor have a lot of pressure on them, and so keeping them strong can help to aid in postpartum recovery and reduce things like incontinence and prolapse. And exercise during pregnancy can also help to limit excess weight gain. So obviously you're going to gain weight during pregnancy. That's a normal and healthy thing that happens, but gaining too much weight is not good for you or the baby. So making sure that you stay active can really help to keep your weight gain to a healthy level. So with all that being said, obviously exercise is really beneficial for pregnant women, but there are some circumstances where it's not recommended. So definitely talk to your doctor and make sure that it's safe for you to exercise, especially if you have any health conditions or complications. So now that we've talked about why you should exercise while pregnant, let's go over what you should actually be doing. So there's 3 different kinds of exercise I'm going to talk about in this video: strength training, cardio, and mobility work. So let's start with strength training because that's my personal favorite. So strength training is going to be really important for keeping your muscles and joints strong and preparing you for labor. So if you have been strength training before your pregnancy, you can continue to do that. If you haven't been strength training, it's not too late to start. There are a few things that you want to keep in mind if you're going to do strength training during pregnancy. So the first thing to keep in mind is there are some exercise swaps I would make during pregnancy and that I have made during my pregnancy. The first thing is anything where you're putting pressure on your stomach. Obviously, as you get bigger, that's going to get uncomfortable and not really ideal to be doing during your pregnancy. So things like hip thrusts or lying leg curls, where you're putting a lot of weight on your stomach or your hips, usually is not ideal for pregnancy. But there are other swaps that you can make, such as a single leg glute bridge where you put the dumbbell on one side, that way it's not laying over your lap, or swapping out a lying leg curl for a seated leg curl, just to avoid putting all of that weight on your stomach. Other exercises that I would avoid during pregnancy are any sort of crunch, because your rectus abdominis, those ab muscles, do separate as your uterus grows and your pregnancy progresses, and so it's not really safe to do any sort of crunching exercises during that time. And I also recommend avoiding anything that risks dropping weights on your stomach for obvious reasons. Some other things to keep in mind when it comes to strength training is make sure that you're protecting your pelvic floor muscles. Again, they can be under a lot of stress during pregnancy. So any sort of exercises like heavy squats or deadlifts where you're really bracing your core can put a lot of pressure pressure on those muscles. So that's not to say that you can't do squats or deadlifts, but this probably isn't the best time to be like going for a 1 rep max. And then on top of that, just listening to your body in general. If there's an exercise that doesn't feel good for you, then try swapping it out for something else. Me personally, I've had a lot of like hip and back pain during my pregnancy, and I find that lunges really aggravate that. So I have chosen to swap out my lunges for a more stable exercise just because it feels better for me. Some people might be fine to do lunges throughout their whole pregnancy and not have any issues. Likewise, an exercise that I can do perfectly fine may be aggravating to you. So just remember to always listen to your body and do what feels best. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is cardio. Cardio can be super beneficial for just maintaining your overall health during pregnancy, as well as, again, preparing for birth. But once again, there's a few things that you should keep in mind if you're going to be doing cardio during pregnancy. I'm a big proponent of low intensity cardio during pregnancy. I know I've seen videos of women who run marathons or do really intense CrossFit workouts during pregnancy. And if that's your thing, then you can definitely talk to your doctor about it and see if that's safe to continue. But for me, what feels best and safest is more low intensity exercise where you can maintain a conversation and continue to talk during that workout. So it's still gonna help to keep your heart healthy, increase your energy levels, your mood, and keep up your cardio endurance without being as taxing on your body. So one way that you can monitor your cardio and make sure that you're keeping it at that low to moderate intensity level is either a talk test where you should be able to talk and maintain a conversation during that exercise, or you can monitor your heart rate and make sure it's not going above like 140 to 150 beats per minute. The last thing we're going to talk about is mobility. So as you progress through your pregnancy, there's obviously a lot of changes that are happening to your core, your pelvis, your back, and this can cause some pain and discomfort in your hips or your legs or your back. And so the biggest thing that I have found to help with that is stretching. This can also be really beneficial as you approach the end of your pregnancy. There are stretches and exercises that you can do to help open up the pelvis and help the baby get into the optimal position for birth. So mobility is super important throughout your whole pregnancy, but especially at the end as you prepare for labor and delivery. When it comes to stretching, there are a few of my favorite stretches that I try to do every day to help, again, limit that pain and discomfort, as well as prepare my body for birth. So one of my favorite stretches is a cat-cow or pelvic tilts, where you're on all fours and anterior and posteriorly rotating your pelvis. I also really like to do a figure 4 stretch. So you can do this sitting on the ground or on a chair, and this really helps to stretch out the piriformis muscle, which can decrease your sciatica. I also love a butterfly stretch or a deep squat to help open up my hips. And I love lunges because they really help to stretch out your hip flexors and your hips in general. So those are a few of the stretches that I do every day just to keep feeling my best and limit the back and hip pain that I have. You can also just look up some prenatal yoga where they'll give you a whole 20 to 30 minute yoga sequence that is safe to do during pregnancy and has stretches that are designed to really help, again, limit that pain and discomfort and prepare your body for labor. So if you are pregnant and wanting to stay active, strength training, cardio, and mobility work are all gonna be super beneficial and help you to have a smooth and healthy pregnancy and delivery. There are a few things to keep in mind and a few swaps or adjustments that you might have to make when training during pregnancy. But overall, it is safe and healthy to stay active and continue to work out throughout your entire pregnancy. It's definitely recommended. Just make sure that you're always listening to your body and also talking to your doctor about what you're doing to make sure that it is safe. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.